he's not just Peyton Manning's little brother or Archie Manning's son. Nope, Eli Manning was a beast.
Some quarterbacks define an era. Some rewrite the record books. Others leave a lasting imprint, not just through stats, but through moments that are impossible to forget. Eli Manning, he was never the flashiest. He was never the most dominant. But when the lights were the brightest, he delivered. 2 Super Bowl victories, both against New England Patriots, a dynasty disrupted not once, but twice. Some call him clutch, others call him lucky. Some say he's a Hall of Fame lock, pointing to his rings and his unforgettable playoff runs. Others argue that he was never an elite quarterback, just a right guy at the right time. So today, we're breaking it all down. How does Eli Manning compare to his peers? Do 2 Super Bowls automatically make a player Hall of Fame worthy? What about his inconsistency, his durability, and the moments that left fans both cheering and shaking their heads? And the ultimate question, was he actually better than Philip Rivers? By the end of this, we'll have an answer.
Fly a first ballot Hall of Famer.
100%. What do the DBs do nowadays when you guys make a
seatbelt?
Yeah. Strap. Lock.
I think Eli gets in, but mainly because he's part of the Manning family. He had those 2 big highs, and he's happened to be in New York.
Eli Manning has led this league in interceptions not once or twice, but 3 times.
The numbers don't lie, or do they? Before we dive into the debate, let's establish the facts. Whether you believe Eli Manning belongs in the Hall of Fame or not, his career numbers put him in elite company. He finished his career with 57,023 passing yards, 10th all-time, 366 touchdowns, also 10th all-time. 4 Pro Bowl selections, not overwhelming, but a mark of respectability. 2 Super Bowl MVPs, a distinction only 5 quarterbacks in history have achieved. At first glance, this looks like a Hall of Fame resume, but let's put it in perspective. Eli Manning threw for more career yards than John Elway and Joe Montana. He passed for more touchdowns than Troy Aikman and Steve Young. He engineered more game-winning drives than Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. And here's the one stat that might matter the most. Every quarterback in NFL history who has won multiple Super Bowl MVPs is already enshrined in Canton. Not a single one has been left out. So, if history is any indication, Eli Manning is heading to the Hall of Fame. The only question is whether he belongs there on merit, or if those 2 Super Bowl runs are doing all the heavy lifting. But was he really that good? The case against Eli Manning is as compelling as the case for him, because while he had undeniable high points, there were plenty of stretches where he was frustratingly average. His career record, 117 to 117, a perfect .500, the definition of mediocrity. His passer rating, 84.1, that doesn't even crack the top 50 all time. And then there are the interceptions. Manning led the league in picks 3 different times and finished his career with 234 interceptions, more than Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes combined. Throughout his career, there was never a point where he was consistently considered one of the best quarterbacks in the league. When Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, and Aaron Rodgers were dominating, Eli was often outside of the top 5. Even in his own draft class, Philip Rivers consistently put up better regular season numbers. So, was Manning truly great? Or was he simply durable, a quarterback who had played for a long time and had 2 great postseason runs? The 2004 draft class debate. In the history of the NFL, some draft classes stand out as generational. The 1983 draft gave us John Elway, Dan Marino, and Jim Kelly. The 2004 draft, it gave us 3 quarterbacks whose careers are forever intertwined: Eli Manning, Philip Rivers, and Ben Roethlisberger. Manning was taken first overall by the San Diego Chargers, but after refusing to play for them, he was traded to the New York Giants for Rivers, who was selected 4th. Roethlisberger, meanwhile, slipped to the Steelers at number 11. Looking at career stats alone, Rivers might seem like the best of the 3. He threw for over 63,000 yards, had 421 touchdowns, and was the 8th-time Pro Bowler. Roethlisberger, on the other hand, had the most career passing yards, 64,088, 2 Super Bowl rings, and 418 touchdowns. Eli, despite ranking 3rd in total yards and touchdowns, was the only one with 2 Super Bowl MVPs. So, how do we measure greatness? Rivers was consistently the most statistically impressive. He put up massive passing numbers and led the Chargers to multiple playoff appearances, but he never reached the Super Bowl. Roethlisberger was the most physically dominant. His ability to extend plays and take hits made him a nightmare for defenses. He won 2 rings, but in neither Super Bowl did he carry his team the way Eli did in his championship runs. Manning's claim to greatness doesn't come from overwhelming stats or jaw-dropping athleticism. It comes from those 2 magical playoff runs. It comes from being the only quarterback to beat the greatest dynasty in NFL history. Yet, if one were to ask, who was the best quarterback from the 2004 draft? The answer depends on what matters most. If it's raw talent and statistics, Philip Rivers. If it's all-around success and leadership, Ben Roethlisberger. But if it's stepping up in the biggest moments and leaving an unforgettable legacy, it's hard to argue against Eli Manning. Quarterbacks come and go, but very few become cultural icons. Eli Manning's impact extends far beyond the football field. Throughout his career, he was often overshadowed by his older brother, Peyton. Peyton was a polished, charismatic, record-setting quarterback, while Eli was a quieter, less flashy sibling. He didn't command attention in interviews, and he rarely made headlines off the field. But what he lacked in flash, he made up for in unintentional comedy. The Manning face became legendary. That blank, confused expression, whether after throwing an interception, standing on the sideline, or even celebrating a touchdown, became a meme that defined an era of football fans. Social media loved to poke fun at him, but in a weird way that made him more beloved. He wasn't a superhuman like Tom Brady or a football savant like Peyton. He was relatable. Then there was a moment during Super Bowl 46 when cameras caught him watching his brother celebrate a Giants touchdown with the most expressionless face possible. That clip alone spawned countless memes, and whether intentional or not, it cemented Eli as one of the most unintentionally funny figures in the NFL. Yet, beneath the memes, Eli was a consummate professional. He never sought the spotlight, never threw teammates under the bus, and was quite a leader in a city that chews up and spits out athletes. When he finally retired, his farewell speech was exactly what you'd expect: grateful, understated, and filled with dry humor. His impact wasn't just on the field. He was one of the NFL's best off-field ambassadors, winning the Walter Payton Man of the Year award for his charity work. While he may not have been the most dominant quarterback of his generation, he left an imprint on the league in a way few others have. So, now we have come to the ultimate question: should Eli Manning be in the Hall of Fame? The case for him is undeniable. He has the numbers, he has the Super Bowls, he has the defining moments that separate Hall of Famers from very good players. But the case against him is just as strong. His inconsistency, lack of individual accolades, and .500 record all suggest that he was never truly an elite quarterback outside of 2 playoff runs. But here's the reality: when the Hall of Fame voters sit down and look at his career, they won't be able to ignore 2 things. 1. Every other quarterback with multiple Super Bowl MVPs is in the Hall of Fame. 2. He didn't just win Super Bowls, he won them against the greatest dynasty in NFL history. Does that mean he was a better quarterback than Philip Rivers or even Matt Ryan? Maybe not. But the Hall of Fame isn't just about who was the best on a week-to-week basis. It's about the moments that define the game. And for that reason, Eli Manning is going to get in. It might not be on the ballot, but he will eventually take his place in Canton. When you think of the history of the NFL, you can't tell the story of the 2000s and 2010s without Eli Manning. And if you can't tell the story of the league without a player, they belong in the Hall of Fame. So what do you think? Does Eli Manning belong in the Hall of Fame? Or was he just a good, not great quarterback who got lucky at the right time? Drop a comment below and let's settle this debate once and for all. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more NFL history, debates, and analysis. And as always, thanks for watching.